So let's kick off. Mobile sucks. That's it. There's something deeply inadequate about mobile. Scott Jensen, who loves mobile, he's on the Google team, and he noted in January that mobile still has so much to learn from desktop user experience. For mobile, it's a gimmick, basically. You don't do any real work there. It's just not feasible. I mean, it's not about CSS, definitely not. I mean, by the way, this is the Bootstrap CSS. And if you were wondering what the next media query had, it's, again, padding right, 15 pixels, padding left, 15 pixels. Yeah, and I mean, we solved it. You only need that one layout, and then that's it. That's Facebook, that's LinkedIn, that's Twitter. We're good for layout, we're done, but it's still not, there's still something missing. It's just not usable. I can't give a talk with my phone, not yet. And it's not just me thinking this, it's 35% of our time is spent in social applications, 16% on entertainment, and that's excluding gaming, whereas in terms of productivity, if you're searching, if you're researching, this is roughly about 10%. And it's not just about screen real estate, it's more than that. Tablet has similar numbers. If anything, tablet is more prone to these. There's about 20% in gaming. But this is not about CSS, it's not about layout. You came here for device APIs. Yeah, cool. To get started, if anyone, woke up today, I guess, and there was The Guardian used the vibration API for the previous election, and it was just like a notification like, hey, something's bad happened, we lost another state. And it's just that little thing. It's only supported in about 55% of browsers in Australia, the vibration API, and if you consider that it's mobile, you're probably looking at maybe like 30% support. Why bother? The vibration API has been there for a while, but I never see it. The only time I do see it is when an ad has hijacked my Android phone and starts vibrating uncontrollably. Before that was the first time I ever saw it out in the wild, and it served a useful use case. And I want the mobile web to be useful. Say we have a form, right? And we click submit. Actually, I needed to do something else. You get that instant feedback. We need to move beyond just these gimmicks or like just delegating the real work to the desktop. For example, there's a geolocation API. This has been out for a while. The specs, it's older than my development career, to be honest. But really, what we want to do is minimize typing. Because it's not about being able to type. It's about getting the address. No one said that we had to type the address, right? We need to look beyond just this, hey, this is desktop, how do I make it smaller? And why is that? I mean, this isn't a QWERTY typewriter. I found out it's missing a Y, but I already really liked it already, so I sort of kept it in there. But QWERTY was invented about almost 250 years ago, and it's designed for 10 fingers, right? And that's what we have for a mobile where I'm using my thumb. Does it make sense? I don't know. I just like playing around with these APIs, but the issue is that I don't see them out in the wild, and that means I can't get to use them if no one else is. I'll say like device motion, right? This has also been out for a few years. Basically, it uses the 3 motion sensors, the accelerometer, the gyroscope, and the magnetometer, and basically it goes, hey, you moved. And the instant sort of, I guess, reaction is like, oh, cool, games. Like, we can, do something interesting. But this is the thing. Say if we had a form and, like an Etch-a-Sketch, we just shook it instead. We just, instead of this, we can empty the form that way. And speaking about, like, the magnetometer, we have the Google Cardboard. For a button, it decided, hey, what's free and is easily accessible and basically, and it's supported in basically every single phone, magnets. You can use magnets as an input, and they've done this, and basically, it's ingenious. This is the early edition of the Google Cardboard, and you just flipped a switch, and this was your input. Because you can't press the screen. The screen is not available for you as an input anymore, so you have to get creative. And it was really ingenious. They've moved on, but and we have these, right? Pretty much every phone I can imagine for like our audience, it would have these rich sensors, right? So this doesn't look like much, but basically this is a ring that's got a magnet inside it, right? And the problem with, say, your classic smartwatch is that as soon as you interact with it, you can't see it anymore. This one, they've used their sensing for the magnet, and basically each direction that you put it is a different type of input. It's a different kind of gesture. And this is not obvious, but it's useful. And we can do this for the mobile web. We've just gotten access in the latest builds of Chrome to these really low-level sensors, such as accessing magnets. And the biggest thing is I want to move beyond what I heard this once, scrolly-telling. Scrolly-telling is every single website that we have. When you see a great experience on desktop, my first instinct is to go to mobile, and it's pathetic, honestly. It just doesn't give me that same visceral feel. So it's not even about being useful anymore. It's just being an experience. It's not something to pass the time. And we can use something like, say, the ambient light sensor. So this is moving beyond explicit forms of input, such as your magnets, such as touch, such as even sound. This is implicit. Maybe we can provide a different story, a different experience based on whether they're inside or outside. Maybe it's actually useful. Maybe if it's dark at night, you don't want to send the same really bright thing. It's just, I don't know, I've been blinded so many times at night, so I can imagine there's a common use case. And we can solve that. And see, then there's this stuff. There's these kind of bad privacy implications. And I say really bad, but I see this, right? Pin skimming, exploiting the ambient light sensor in mobile devices. So basically, it uses the light sensor to determine what you're doing with your fingers, basically. And there's a lot of bad cases out there of this, but I see this, and I'm really inspired. I think this is, imagine if you came up with that. Damn, you deserve my pin. Come on, it's just about, we have these sensors, and we've had them for a long time. Geolocation, the device Lite has been available in Firefox for a long time. You can play around with it in Google Chrome as well if you just go to enable experimental web features, where all the fun stuff is anyway. And you can play around with it, but I guess the issue here is you can't polyfill hardware, right? You can't guarantee the same experience across all of your devices. But that's okay. That's absolutely fine, and that's what we should be encouraging. We pretended that we knew the screen size. We've used screen size as a proxy for some of these features. Like, well, if it's a small viewport, they probably have, they're using a touchscreen. But that might not be the case at all. But what we're doing is we're trying to guarantee these different experiences at all the different times of day. Why not give them a magnet? And if they have a magnet, then they can do something a bit different. They can navigate a bit differently. This isn't how you do APIs. Like, there's a bunch of interesting work being done at the moment, really in the low-level sensors, thanks to stuff like the virtual reality specifications. And so there's byproducts of that for just the regular people that just want low-level sensors. But the issue is, yeah, we've had these for a long time, and no one's using them. And I just want to spark ideas. I want you to see this and be like, oh, wow, maybe I could not pin skim, but I could do something else. And it's just reconsidering. It's, what do you need to do? What does your client want? What does your user need? Not what have we done before. I want to be able to give this talk via a phone without my laptop. I want to be able to do real work. I want real enjoyable experiences on mobile. And I think device APIs is one of the biggest things that, as an industry, we're just not even considering at the moment. Thank you.